Okay, guys, so here we go. My last video, I kind of messed up on how I was filming it, but I'm here to basically explain how my pot still works. So, I just upgraded this, and before I upgraded it, I didn't have thumpers, which I found out was really irritating for the fact that if you don't have thumpers, you're not going to get a really clean product your first run. You're going to have to run it maybe once or twice unless you want to take 48 hours to make one pot. So basically, what the thumpers do is they re-distill it. So you got your pot, heat's coming up, heating stuff in your mash, sends it through your tube, and normally people go from the pot to the condenser, which is right here, into the shot glass. Well, what I've noticed is that every time I do that, I get cloudy moonshine. So, what I figured out was that if you use the thumpers, it basically distills it once, twice, 3 times, and then condenses it. So not only will I end up with a higher proof, but I'm going to end up with a more pure and more clear moonshine with just off of one run. So basically how these thumpers work is that your mash heats up in your pot, it goes through the copper into your first thumper, and you see how it's bubbling right there? Well, that's all the air and heat and steam that's coming through from the pot, which it's going to heat the water in here, creating it to steam and go up the copper tube into this one. Then it does the same thing, then it goes up in the condenser. I will put ice in here once it starts coming, but it hasn't heated up enough yet. So, but then you put your ice in there and water. Some people like to use salt, think ice cream, but I don't. I just use ice and water. Drips out into your shot glass, and so basically, since this is a 13-gallon pot and I have 2 5-gallon jugs in it, hold on one second. There we go. Had to shut the window so no neighbors can hear me. But anyways, since I have a 13-gallon pot, I got 2 5-gallon jugs in there, so that's 10 gallons of mash. For every gallon of mash that you're cooking, you want to get rid of 10 milliliters per gallon of what first comes out of your spigot. Okay? That's all that methanol and the shit that'll make you go blind. And you can go blind if you do this wrong. So, since I got 10 gallons, I want 100 milliliters. I'm going to go 120 just to be safe. Some people like to double it just to be safe, but I've been drinking this shit for a long time, so it hasn't bothered me none. So, anyways, this is pretty much how it goes. I mean, it's very cheap. I mean, the pot was like 40 bucks. The one that's on top of it was like 20 bucks. And the copper altogether was probably 30 bucks. Which is actually not too bad. Because, anyways, but that's basically my setup. That's what I got going on. Also, for all those of you who are having problems with leaks, go to the store and find some fish tank silicone. Back up. That's what I got in between here. And it is a non-toxic, food-safe silicone. It will not deteriorate with your steam. It won't make your moonshine taste like shit. But it's perfect. But what you need to do when you put that on, you put a bead around on this lip. Ow, fucking hot. Put a bead around on this lip right here, and then put Vaseline on whatever you're going to put on top, like on this lip. Put Vaseline on it so it doesn't stick to your pot, and just set it down on top of the silicone. You don't want to clamp it down, you don't want to do none of that. Just let it set with, maybe put a book on it, give it a little bit of pressure, depending on how light your lid's going to be. But just let it sit on there and let it cure overnight, 24 hours. Then the next day, just take it off, and it should come off rather easy. And that's how you get a nicer, tight fit. Me, I'm an idiot and didn't do it that way. So, I ended up just putting a bead all the way around it and then trimming it with a razor blade. I got it good enough. It works, as you can see. See that bubbling right there? That's the good stuff. Actually, that's just air right now. It's on its way. So, here in a few minutes, in about 15 minutes, hold on. Oh yeah, that's getting warm. So here, very shortly, I'm going to start getting my shine. So thank you guys for watching, and if you want, I can, or actually, I'll tell you how I make my mash. So, as you can see, I got 3 5-gallon water jugs. These are fine. People say, oh, put a condom on the top, put a fucking breather on the top, whatever. You only need to do that shit when you're making, like, beer or wine, because they don't necessarily need to, or they worry about contaminants and shit getting in their stuff or whatever. You know what? I put a plastic bag on the top of this and poke a couple holes in the corner of it, put a plastic bag on it with a rubber band. And this one, since this one has a screw-on lid, I just put the lid on top of it. It gives it enough air, let it bubble, and that's it. So basically what I do is I put 10 pounds of sugar in each one with about a half a cup to a cup of yeast, depending on what type of yeast. I go to my normal Winco and get their bulk yeast. Found out works way better than Red Star. Higher alcohol, higher alcohol retardedness, I guess, is what you can say. Because Red Star will only give you about 8% alcohol in your jug. And the Winco stuff I've noticed will give you about 12%. If you want to go high up, spend a big money, get on Amazon. They sell turbo yeast that you can get about 20, 22, 23%, 48-hour shit if you're just doing the jugs. But I upgraded the barrels so I can get about 20 to 40 gallons of moonshine in one run. So that's pretty much it. You do 10 pounds of sugar, fill it up halfway with water, with hot water. Don't forget that part. Hot water. Shake that shit up. Let it get all nice and dissolved. Then fill the rest of the thing up with cold water. And you can tell if it's cold enough to put your yeast in by, you can pour some on your hand or just feel the outside of the jug. And you can't be hot. You should be able to put your hand on it and leave it there for an extended period of time. Then, excuse me. And then once you put all your cold water in there, and I normally fill it up to about right here. That focus. Fill it up about right there. And then I put my yeast in. Put my yeast in, shake it up again, make sure nothing's clumped up, and just make sure everything shook up good. Other than that, there you go. That's my still. That's my mash recipe. And like I said, easy shit. And also, for all you guys that are thinking, oh, just put cornmeal in it, you don't have to mix it with hot water or do anything to it, y'all are retarded. Easiest way to do this is sugar, water, and yeast. If you use corn, you gotta heat it to 150 degrees and let it sit for an hour or two to let all the sugar come out of it. Okay? Because corn, by itself, has no sugar. It's starch. You have to heat the starch in order to get the sugar. So, there's a little tidbit for you. Anyways, have a good one, guys. Enjoy shining. Be safe. And that's my setup.